Congratulations, national champions, from your all-ball station.
Time at Gamble Pavilion here in Storrs, Connecticut. The #1 Huskies right now trailing the #2 Tennessee Lady Vols. Tim Brando along with the Hall of Famer Nancy Lieberman-Klein. You know, coming into this game, attacking Connecticut's guards. That's what Pat Summitt wanted to do. Well, job not well done in the sense that they haven't turned it over that often, but they've held the Connecticut guards to 3 of 17 shooting.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest keys right now is that you don't have to necessarily force them into a turnover. You just have to get them out of the rhythm of their offense.
You look at the numbers for the first half, both teams struggling from beyond the arc. The rebounding story is worth noting.
Right here, 13. That means 13 offensive rebounds for the Huskies. Doing a great job. Second chance points means they're getting higher percentages. This could be a big Tennessee lead without those rebounds.
Samika Randall booed quickly with the ball, #20. She had some blood on her normal jersey, #21, so she's now wearing 20. Teresa Jeter starts the second half. Kelly Jolly with the first launch of the half. And the long rebound control to Holtzclaw, and a quick reach-in foul is spotted.
Well, we'll see how Tennessee gets through this, especially with Holtzclaw, because I guess it's been confirmed that Tamika and Shamika were pretty sick at halftime in the locker room as they were on the bench.
Amy Duran picked up that foul. Jeter puts it on the deck, gives it up to Jolly. Like a mash unit, that Tennessee team after the first 5 minutes. Holtzclaw with the flu bug, but also hot from the floor. She is, at one point, she was 5 of 6 from the floor. She now has 18 in the game.
Well, the 36 points at the half, that's the lowest UConn has scored this year. They had 39 against Rhode Island.
Told that it was simply a head cold. By the way, part of the family, the key part of the family for the Tennessee basketball team is Grandmama June. She's here to watch the game today. You see Amy Duran taking a seat. Nice pass. Right to Paige Sauer.
Well, let's give the screener some credit. That play, pick the picker, doesn't work unless you set a tremendous screen.
Jeter pulls up. And it's pulled down by Swin Cash. Coming off that stress fracture, she's been playing well. Abrosimova. That's what I love about her game. 18 years old, and she just turned 18. The time she spent playing internationally in St. Petersburg, Russia, obviously a catalyst. And another turnover as Kirsten Walters ties up Kelly Jolly.
Abrosimova, I guarantee you in the locker room, Gino Auriemma said, you have got to be involved in the offense. You played 20 minutes, you only took 7 shots. Start looking for your shot.
Last year's Big East Rookie of the Year being heard from. You see the shooting percentage is low, but the opportunities have been plenty for UConn. That one another missed opportunity. Randall turns it over, going into press row. Lisa Leslie there, a Hall of Famer.
And Lisa Leslie
there to catch her.
She tried to block her shot. She didn't try to catch her. Lisa Leslie and Dawn Staley, 2 of the greats in the WNBA. That's right. See right here.
There's a look at your future, Lisa.
Well, Randall is such a competitor, but right now, Tennessee is not getting back in transition.
Swin Cash making them pay. She has 10. Jeter finding Samika Randall.
It's a good look that time because you only have Paige Sauer back. So if Paige goes and misses, which she did, you get a layup.
Shea Ralph is fouled. It'll go against Teresa Jeter.
Tennessee doing a good job of not worrying about the early run. See, you got to get the ball in the middle of the floor. Now, when Snow makes this pass here, look at who's back against Randall, and that's Holtzclaw on the weak side. You can't anticipate this if you're Paige Sauer. You're the last line of defense. You're the free safety. You got to make them come 2-on-1, not give them the clean layup.
Shea Ralph has waited a long time for this game. She came off the bench and scored 12 in the game her freshman year. They really got this rivalry heated up. And as I mentioned earlier, 2 tears of her right anterior cruciate ligament. Those are her first points of the game. That could fuel the UConn fire here in the second half.
Well, Shea Ralph does not know about losing. She's never lost in a UConn uniform because she's 44-0.
Jeter leans in traffic, and another tie ball. Boy, the Swin Cash is quick to the basketball.
She's swing quick. That's quicker than most people. Swin Cash was the #3 recruit by Blue Star. She had 30 points, 17 rebounds in high school last year.
Pat Summitt wants a 20-second timeout. And the place is rocking at Gamble. Next Sunday at 1:30 Eastern, Olympic medalists including Victor Petrenko, Rosalind Sumners, Nancy Kerrigan, and Brian Orser show off at the Alberto Calvary Battle of the Sexes right here on CBS. Look forward to that fire on ice, the Alberto Culver VO5 Battle of the Sexes, 1:30 next Sunday. There's a rejection inside, and quickly a foul spotted underneath.
Great job by Holtzclaw. That's what Snow, Catchings, and Holtzclaw do so often. They change your shot or they block it. You get by one person and boom. And the nice thing that I like is that Holtzclaw was able to keep the ball in play for Tennessee to have possession.
Paige Sauer picked up that foul, her second. See Shamika Holtzclaw. Well, I asked her last night of all of the memories, a three-time Kodak All-America, a career full of memories, what would be her greatest memory? And she said that first title. Double-digit losses that season. People forget they were really struggling. It lost 10 games before they made their run. Crowd reacts to the 13th turnover committed, and a rare one indeed committed by Holtzclaw.
Well, we've gone 3 minutes in the second half, and already 5 turnovers by the Lady Vols as they change their defense to a 2-3 track.
Ralph took an extra step on the jump stop. They're really watching that closely this year in both the men's and women's game.
Well, against the zone, you need to either make hard dribble penetration into the gap or reverse it and make the zone shift.
Numbers, Catchings for Randall. Ralph got her hand in there, but Samika was able to corral it. Catchings, great first step, and she draws the foul underneath.
That's the player for Tennessee who's got to get more involved. She only had 6 points and 2 rebounds, Tamika Catchings, at the half. And Pat Summitt told me that she's kind of felt some pressure, Catchings.
The heir to the throne, as we mentioned.
That is a lot of pressure, and she became a Kodak All-American. Not very many people. Ann Myers was a freshman Kodak All-American. Katie Smith, Holtzclaw, Cheryl Miller. She's
the daughter of Harvey Catchings, who played 11 years in the NBA with Chicago, Milwaukee, Philadelphia. And her sister Taja plays at Illinois. You see Paige checking out after her third foul, Paige Sauer. And Taja stayed with her father, Harvey Catchings, while Tamika went with her mom back to the Dallas area in Duncanville, Texas, Duncanville High School. One of the storied programs in women's high school basketball, and Wanda Catchings has done a great job being a basketball mom. Abrosimova. That one's pulled out of there, and a quick lead pass that's a beauty to Randall. Oh, Catchings made a marvelous pass. They're unable to convert. Back on the deck, and the arrow will be to UConn. Kirsten Walters showed so much hustle and tenacity. She forced Randall to go faster than she wanted to. Of course, Walters is the best defender on the team. Shea Ralph wide open. That's her first field goal, 48-47. Tennessee, #1, #2 in women's basketball. Not quite 4 minutes gone by here in the second half. Kelly Jolly keep the ball off the sidelines. Off the ball, a foul spotted.
Shea Ralph, 18 months of rehab. This is what she was working for to play in the big games like this.
Kirsten Walters picked up the foul, her third. You know, it's very rare when your team leader is a sixth man. They're coming off the bench, but that's what she is verbally. She's clearly the team leader. Svetlana Brozova, obviously a little more quiet in nature. You see Catchings knocking it down. Three-point hoop, and it's 51-47.
Well, Catchings that time against Tamika Williams. Catchings has nice long range.
Ralph does not get the shooter's touch. Pulled away by Catchings.
See, that's what's really changed the game of basketball. Tennessee had three players that could take you off the dribbles: Catchings, Randall, and Holtz-Claw. Now UConn has those players who can take you off the dribble.
Shamiqua Holtz-Claw saying, you see there to her friends there, my bad, seems to be pressing a bit since she fell ill. Rare turnovers. Catchings, the heir to the throne, with a three.
The high endurance deodorant challenge from Old Spice, it's great at stopping odor. But what if you got to stop sweat?
Well, high endurance makes a powerful antiperspirant. A white solid that goes on clear.
See? No white flakes. So you can stay dry without the white mess you get from some other antiperspirants. Guaranteed. Or call 1-800-PROVE-IT and Old Spice will buy you a stick of yours. So take the challenge. Because this is more than just an antiperspirant. This is the high endurance of antiperspirants.
Ray's in training for the ping pong grudge match of the year.
You know what would be louder? If you hit the ball directly against my head.
All new Raymond, CBS Monday.
In stores, Connecticut, Tennessee with a 4-point lead over the Huskies. The story of the game in the second half has been turnovers. Tennessee, 5 already with less than 5 minutes gone, Tim, in the second half. Although UConn forces 28 a game with their defense.
This is the time in the game when one would think the superior depth of UConn could really come into play here in the second half.
Well, they're two of the best conditioned teams in the country. And people think, okay, to play an up-tempo game, you just have to run. Or you have to be in condition to run.
Asia Jones, who was pressured by Snow, hurried the shot, could not get it to fall. Out of bounds, last touched by Tennessee.
The officials have done a nice job. Sally Bell, Art Bominger, and Dennis DeMaio have, with the physicalness of the game, it could have gotten out of control, but I think this group has done a nice job of letting the athletes do their thing.
Swin Cash has 12, and you're right, after that little tete-a-tete with Abrosimova and Samika Randall, it could have gotten out of hand. Randall gets another layup. She has a dozen. 53-49. Kirsten Walters has been impressive today just in handling Tennessee's backcourt pressure. There's another easy one. A Mom Sunday best dish from Walters to Cash under the microscope today. Randall, that's a block. Would have counted had it fallen. Asia Jones unable to establish herself underneath the hoop.
Well, Swin Cash so quick on the offensive end. See right here, right off the dribble. Catchings, who's a very good defensive player, and Cash is able to finish. And right here, I say you start your team with the point guard who can handle and pass because they make everybody look better. And then you find yourself a post player.
Well, you see the Meeks, the three Meeks, 41 points, the rest of the team 12. Samika has a number of interests. She loves the opera. Very verbal young lady, as we mentioned earlier, but very nearly came to UConn. And one of the reasons I think that was an explosion waiting to happen, the one between both she and Abrosimova.
She's such an emotional type player, and that's what Pat loves. Pat Summitt loves about having her on the team. But I look at young players and I think, all right, what are they doing in the offseason to get better? She was in Knoxville. She was working with Al Brown every day on her jump shot.
Offensive foul, and it's Randall that got in position to collect it. Player control foul off the ball against Shea Ralph, and that's important. That's her third. Remember, she left early with 2 fouls, and you take Shea Ralph away from the game for UConn, particularly in the stretch run. Gino Auriemma has reason to be concerned.
Well, it takes away an attitude. And you need Shea Ralph on the floor. And she'll play with 3, she'll play with 4 until she gets 5, because that's just the type of competitor that she is. It's a great matchup right here. Jolly against Shea. 2 very, very smart players.
UConn had cut it to 2. They have not led since it was 9-8. Jolly for 3. Oh, look at that block out. I mean, that was elbow to elbow between Catchings and Tamika Williams.
Well, I think they were probably talking about, okay, so what did you get for National High School Player of the Year? You got more than me?
And Pat Summitt is saying, well, it's got to be a foul on somebody. And then finally, we do get a double foul.
Well, they were locking up, and they have been locking each other's arms up throughout the course of the game.
And that for Catchings, that's important. She can't stand. The reason you see the reaction, that's Tamika Catchings' 4th foul. So if it's going to be a double foul, it's advantage UConn.
Very much, and there's a lot of time on the clock. 14-11 left. All right, check out the post right here. That's Catchings and Williams. And as the shot goes up, they're locking each other's arms right there, and they just pull each other down. A little WWF going on.
And Pat sits her down. These are times when you're happy to have depth, as you mentioned earlier. She can come with Teresa Jeter, but remember, she was sidelined with a knee injury. A shot blocker who had 93, a school record, breaking a 12-year-old record a year ago. And that's Al Brown chatting with Tamika Catchings along the sidelines.
But it's just been recently, the South Carolina game, that Jeter came back from the scope on her knee. She might not be in condition to run the pace of the game.
Williams rejected it. Ralph finished it. Off a nice pass from Abrosimova. Abrosimova with a nice pass, but it all began with Williams's rejection. 55-53.
The UConn team has so much depth and versatility. 5 players in double figures in scoring.
Holzclaw. Oh, what an answer. That's why you're an All-American, a candidate for 2-time Player of the Year. Dawn Staley, by the way, who is in attendance, was sitting next to Lisa Leslie, the only one to win Player of the Year in consecutive years. A turnover by UConn.
Watch this. Check out the beautiful block that starts the break right here. Kelly Jolly trying to draw the foul. Abrosimova with the beautiful lead pass. Shea Ralph getting out on the break.
Even with Shamika's problems today, and there she is with the ball again. 10 of 14 from the floor. A runner and an offensive foul. We've seen examples, though. Couple of unforced turnovers, and that's an uncharacteristic turnover committed by Shamika.
Well, that time Shamika Holtzclaw, Sauer is trying to force her out, but look where she's forcing her. This is where Shamika Holtzclaw has got to see this player stepping up. She has somebody open in the corner. You got to make the extra pass.
Tennessee's committed 15 turnovers to 8 for UConn this afternoon.
Tennessee staying in the 2-3 zone.
Abrosimova had an open 3 and turned it down. In the middle. Nice work by Sauer on the offensive boards. It's been those putbacks that have been the key. Holtzclaw picks up her 3rd foul.
You cannot allow Paige Sauer, as big and strong as she is, to just step in the lane there. You have to get a body on her and box her back and make her go over your back. Jeter was a little off balance when she got the rebound. And, you know, to me, that could be a little bit from timing because she hasn't played in a while.
Paige Sauer is a player that Gino Auriemma knew he needed to get involved early today. You see Abrosimova taking a seat, as does Holtzclaw. See, each coach, when the star leaves, gives the other one an opportunity to take a rest simultaneously.
What an educational tool this game is for both teams. You're going to find out, can I do the same thing against the teams that we've scored 100 points against? That would be 8 teams that UConn has done that to. Can we do it against a team as good as Tennessee?
Jolly, not there, out of bounds, last touched by Hansmeyer. It will be controlled to Tennessee underneath their own hoop. This game, as advertised, the defenses at times make it appear as if it's a sloppy game, but in truth, the intensity level and the skill on the floor is enough to give you an 80 to 90 point game. I mean, this game's been dominated by defenses, and yet we're headed for a score in the 80s or 90s.
Well, both teams, not only have they been able to get the ball up and down the floor, even with the trapping defenses and the full court traps, you got to think about it. Both of these teams, to me, go to the line 29 times a game. And in the first half alone, Tennessee went to the foul line 5 times, UConn 4.
Yeah, UConn is now 7 of 8 getting to the line 4 times in this half. We're not quite way to the halfway mark. Ace Clement in the paint, drawing the foul as they slash to the basket.
Ace Clement, you're seeing right now, well, as we take a look at what UConn has done throughout the course of the season, I mean, being able to score 100 points at will. They have done that 8 times in 13 games.
Clement at the line after the foul by Hansmeyer.
When they recruited Ace Clement to come to Tennessee, they thought, okay, she'll probably back up Kelly Jolly, or maybe she'll be Kelly Jolly out for that spot. Kelly would have nothing of it. Now she's developed that she can play the 1 or the 2, so you're seeing them playing more together on the court.
Asia Jones on the floor along with Walters, Shea Ralph, Tamika Williams. And it's Asia Jones counted and a foul.
It's a bad matchup for Tennessee. Williams, see the pass right there by Asia Jones. She had Ace Clement posted up before the ball got to half court. Clement has to be able to realize where the play is going and get better position before the play happens.
She's on her way to a double-double. The freshman from Jersey making a tremendous impact, tying the game. First tie since it was 6-6. UConn has never led, and a foul by Ralph. That's her 4th. Shea Ralph picks up her 4th. Now we'll see just how intelligent she can play defensively with 4 fouls, and that's since coming off the bench 3 minutes deep into this game. Obviously, she'll have to sit for some time, as you see Abrosimova coming in for her, and we're in the bonus very early in the game with just under a dozen minutes remaining.
It's really a smart play by Gino Auriemma, because you can't afford not to have Shea Ralph in your lineup at the end of the game. There's 12 minutes to go.
Well, this has truly been the inspirational leader of the Lady Vols today, Samika Randall. Outstanding, isn't it? Vols lead it by 2. CBS Sports coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local stations.
Sale, Common Market. Every suit and every sport coat 50% off. Sale, Common Market. All other clothing 25 to 50% off. The Common Market, Kingston Pike and Bearden. Sale, Common Market.
Jane Joseph tonight on WVLT Volunteer News.
Then that one right there, Pat Summitt, 4-time National Coach of the Year. Let's eavesdrop during the half.
Well, you got to be on the outside shoulder. Samika will help you. But you can't play behind totally, no. Okay, you got to be out here, get help over here. If they flash into the high post, you guards help out.
At Summit, there was Shamiqua Holzclaw, her star player, on the bench, who was ill, fighting a head cold. Very concerned about her team answering the challenge of UConn once the game was tied. Shalon Pillow picks up the foul. And I think, obviously, her concern is that they continue to board well, because I'm sure she never imagined that UConn would have as many second chance points as they've had today.
Well, they've been able to do that because of their quickness. It's very difficult to box out Tamika Williams and Swin Cash because of their quickness around the basket.
Long rebound taken down by Randall.
It's an interesting lineup for Tennessee right now with Catching, Snow, and Holtzclaw on the bench.
There's Shamika Randall. You talk about ability to handle the ball, but also to rebound as a guard. She does an outstanding job. There she turned it over, taking an extra step. On the floor for the Huskies, Paige Sauer, joined by Kirsten Walters, Tamika Williams, Abrosimova, and Asia Jones flashing to the high post.
It's pretty good when you can put Randall on the top of your 3-2 press. You could trap out of it with your wings if she's so quick anticipating the pass back.
Oh, nice work by Abrosimova to find the wide open Kirsten Walters. First lead for the Huskies since it was 9-8 at the 17:50 mark of the first half.
Good things happen when you reverse the ball against the zone.
Now, how does Tennessee respond trailing for the first time? This is a key sequence for the Lady Vols. Jolly. Nice work on the boards. The tree, Teresa Jeter gets position, and that's a big putback. 62-61, and Jeter's first basket.
Tree Jeter is a big-time player. She had that great game against North Carolina when Tennessee was down 12 with 7 minutes to go in the game in the regional finals.
Sauer missed an easy one. Tennessee playing without their star. It's clear Shamika Holtzclaw, though she has 20, not the same, certainly needs to rest for the final 5 minutes of this game. Pillow turned it over, took an extra step.
Pillow trying to find the seam of the Yukon zone.
Swin Cash checking back in, and Tamika Williams sits down for the Huskies. Snow coming into the game for Tennessee. Shell, as they call her, enters the game, and Pillow sits down.
Well, it's a nice contrast in post for Tennessee because Pillow is better on the block than Snow. She's steady and she's strong, but Michelle Snow, she can run, she's got big hands, and she's got those long arms to change your shot.
Tennessee on pace to turn it over far more than the norm. Just as we mentioned that, a turnover by Swin Cash as she picks up the offensive foul. Player control foul, her first. Tennessee's turned it over 18 times today. They average 17.5 on the season per game.
Yeah, that is pretty much an offensive foul. Swin Cash really didn't need to do that. She just had to feel the pressure from Snow and pass it out and reset herself.
There you see that story of turnovers we just touched on. UConn has doubled up Tennessee, and Tennessee's used to that stat going the other way. Jeter, a line drive that drew nothing but net. 64-61.
Well, the line drive drew iron and went through the net.
Again, wide open Walters, this time off the back iron. Long rebound taken out of there by Cash. And Shea Ralph, a much-needed basket for UConn. She has 9, just 2 field goals on the afternoon, all in the second. Clement. You see Jeter working the boards, having position there against the younger Asia Jones.
This is the new look Tree Jeter without the goggles from a year ago. But second shot's right here. Well, nice head fake. You see how Krista Ace Clement gets off her feet, and then Shea Ralph with the open look for her shot. You know, that's such an easy fundamental move. Nothing fancy about it. Just the head fake, ball fake, and take the dribble away from the defense.
Tamika Williams comes in. Asia Jones sits down after picking up her third. Some of the health problems that Tennessee's had, it's forced players like Jeter to perhaps play more minutes than either Pat Summitt or the player themselves may have felt they'd need to play coming into today's game.
Well, last year they were able to get some big minutes from LaShonda Stevens. This year with chronic knee problems, she's not able to play.
Again, the quickness you touched on. Tamika Williams gets airborne and draws contact from Teresa Jeter, her second.
I think the way you have to try and play the UConn post, because they're so quick, is you have to make them shoot over you. You can't let them beat you off the dribble or going around you. You're not going to stop Williams or Swin Cash.
She missed one game this year, Tamika Williams, with a groin pull. She's the third UConn player, Nikisha Sales and Shea Ralph being the others, to be named National Player of the Year in high school. So recruiting is picking up here in Stores.
Well, it's picking up because it's just not an accident.
And the turnover off the pressure in the backcourt. Boy, this is a return to sender for Tennessee.
You cannot pick your dribble up against the pressure, the trap, and Kelly Jolly very good at not doing that. But the minute she picks her dribble, she's now on the defensive and she's losing the attack to get the ball up the floor.
When you look at the turnover story, Gino Auriemma probably can't believe that they've only led by one once in this game. Too strong by Walters. A long rebound taken down by Snow. Clement looking for numbers. Gives it up nicely to Jeter. She's short-armed that one. Pulled down by Cash.
UConn playing more of their style of basketball since they came out of the locker room at halftime. Very aggressive.
Jolly gets into the passing lane. Gives it up to Shamiqua Holtzclaw. That's just textbook defense by Tennessee.
Holtzclaw is one of the best finishers I've ever seen for somebody who doesn't dunk like, most of the guys do.
22 in the game for Shamiqua. 67-65, Lady Vols. Abrosimova giving it up. Foul spotted underneath. Foul against Clement. Next Saturday at noon, it's wall-to-wall basketball here on CBS. Some of you will see Oklahoma against Cincinnati or Florida against number 14 Auburn. They're unbeaten. And then we go national. Big East battle between Syracuse and Georgetown. Then it's Indiana and Purdue. Bob Knight's Hoosiers getting ready to take on the intensity of Gene Katie and his Purdue Boilermakers. All of that next week here on CBS. The road to the Final Four underway.
Rasimova spent so much time working on her game. She went back to St. Petersburg, Russia, had a chance to scrimmage, play with the national team, although she is only 18, turned 18 July 9th. But then she had a chance to play with the Russian junior national team. I always say that when you get players that play internationally, they come back better, more confident players.
Well, she's truly the one breakdown player for Auriemma. She can beat you off the dribble in a very big way. We are tied #1 at state.
Dan, EJ, 170 million. That's a record. Think it's going to change you?
Absolutely not. E.J. Tucker's never been about money. E.J. Tucker's never played for money, and money will not change E.J. Tucker.
It is very rare when you see in our game summary the turnovers, 9 more by Tennessee than UConn. It's very rare when that happens to a Pat Summitt coach team.
Well, one of the things that Pat Summitt really believes in is her point guard, Kelly Jolly, because she has such a great assist-to-turnover ratio, usually 3 to 4 to 1. And when you have 10 turnovers in the second half against a great team like UConn, that turns those things into points, you're not going to be very successful.
Ace Clement is on the floor with Jeter, and here's another turnover. Make that 20. Walters forced it up there. She'd love to have that one back, and a quick timeout taken by Kristen Ace Clement after coming away with that rebound. Well, we talked about 1995 earlier. This is the 8th meeting between these two powerhouses, and the heritage continued in 96. Nikisha Sales would hit this three-pointer from the top of the key. This is in the national semifinal to send it to overtime. Oh, what a reaction. But Shel Marciniak was the catalyst down the stretch in overtime. 88-83 in that semifinal game, and they beat Old Dominion in the championship to claim that national title. It turned out to be the first of 3. Nikisha Sales, by the way, headed to professional basketball, of course. That may be her future once her playing days are done, following in the footsteps of my partner in more ways than one.
Well, I talked to Nikisha before the game, and I asked her how her Achilles was doing. She said fine. She's been playing a lot of ball here with Rebecca Lobo, and I'm sure soon to be Carol Walters and Jen Rosati.
Amy Duran comes away with a turnover. And a poor pass that time. Bad judgment by Kirsten Walters.
Well, Gino was on the sideline just hooting and hollering because he knew how important that possession was.
Snow holds it high above her head. If you're going to try to knock it away from her when she has it that high, you know you're going to commit a foul. That's exactly what happened. Now let's check out the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. And you see it, 21-11 in turnovers. For complete college basketball coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com. Tennessee has to feel fortunate that they've maintained a lead for the majority of this game with that stat.
You're absolutely right. Anytime you have 21 turnovers to go, 7 minutes left in the game, UConn is going to turn up the intensity defensively even more so. I think if you would have guessed before the game, you would have swapped those turnovers and said, okay, the freshmen are probably going to turn it over a little bit from UConn.
Couple of big misses by Michelle Snow, the freshman from Pensacola there. UConn has led by a point twice in this game for a total of 58 seconds. There have been 5 times. And don't count the basket. Foul prior to the shot by Snow. 2 outstanding blocks by Snow. But the second time up, she committed the personal.
But you see how high Swin Cash took Snow up the lane? That's why she was able to get the initial lob pass, and just her tenacity going right back at her is what gets her to the foul line. The next 4 years in college basketball is going to be big time because there's so many great young players, not just at Tennessee and at UConn, but all over the country.
Outstanding team, obviously, at Purdue. You see Jolly coming in, along with Catchings, replacing Ace Clement and Teresa Jeter. And there you see the free throw shooting story in this game likely could be won at the line.
Well, that's an area I'm sure Gino Auriemma addressed at halftime. Hey, ladies, we are not aggressive to the basket. We have got to get to the line if we're not going to make the shots.
Asia Jones, speaking of aggressive near the basket, she's been that today. She comes in. So UConn with their 3rd lead of the day. Each time it's been by 1 point. And each time Tennessee has answered with a bucket. And a foul right in front of Auriemma, and he can't believe Abrosimova committed that foul in the backcourt.
Well, he's a little upset with Abrosimova because he wanted her to move her feet, slide over, and cut Holtzclaw off. But she took a bad drop step angle, and that's where Holtzclaw, using her speed, got by her.
Shooting 2 for Tennessee, Shaniqua Holtzclaw.
Holtzclaw wears the number 23, and the ever-present question is, does she want to be like Mike? The answer is no. She claimed that from the Psalm, the 23rd Psalm, with the verse beginning, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." So it has a religious origin, the number 23 for her, while the obvious comparison to Michael Jordan has always brought the question up.
Well, you give the credit to Grandma June because she's the one who gave all the discipline and put Shaniqua Holtzclaw in the right places and gave her, you know, that good sense of faith.
Kirsten Walters is 2 of 13 from the floor. Just threw up an air ball, and Holtzclaw in the right place at the right time again.
So you've got a mismatch. You've got Walters on Holtzclaw. If I'm Tennessee, I just get out of the way and let her go.
Well, they decided to go pick and roll, and while it was well defended, there's June. She's very happy, all smiles. 70-68, 12 of 16 from the floor, 25 points for an ailing Shaniqua Holtzclaw. That foul's against Snow. Again, this UConn team taking charge after charge, and that was a point of emphasis during a timeout for Pat Summitt when she talk to her team.
You look at a team like Tennessee and you say, how do they continue to play a schedule like this? Last year with a 39-0 record, everything fell into place for them because they played a lot of these teams. They played La Tech at home. They played UConn at home. This year, they play these teams on the road. They played at Purdue, at Stewart, at Louisiana Tech. Then you play Rutgers in New York on a neutral floor, Duke on a neutral court, and then they have to go to Old Dominion later on in the season.
Both of these conferences that are represented today, by the way, the Big East and the SEC, between them, 8 teams in the top 25, 4 from each league. Yet most would tell you if UConn could win this game and then beat Louisiana Tech in Ruston next week, they may be on their way to equaling Tennessee's unbeaten streak of a year ago. Catchings looking for a high pitch from Jolly. She hit the deck. Too strong. Catchings tried to keep it alive. Out of bounds to UConn. Amy Duran coming back in, replacing Kirsten Walters.
Well, it's been quite a while since Tamika Catchings has been on the floor, so if you're going up against her, she might be a little stiff. You want to attack the player coming off the bench as soon as you can.
Keep thinking at this time of the game that a Brosimova or Shea Ralph will take over. There's an example of it.
She got a great power game, Timmy. She could shoot the outside shot, but you're not going to stop her on her drive to the basket.
7th tie of the game between these two. Randall breaks the double team. Nice dish. Holtzclaw rushed it. Randall followed it. Each time UConn grabs a lead or ties it, Tennessee's always there with an answer. 18 for Samika Randall.
I think Abrasimova has to get more.
Duran hits a 3. And much like the rock group Duran Duran, the building ready to explode.
Well, she's the senior co-captain on the team. She's the quiet leader, and all she does is compete.
Oh, Brosimova will be whistled for the foul. Now check that, it'll be Jolly. Well, we may have an overrule. I think now they have changed it, and it will be a Brosimova that picks up that foul.
Well, you saw Randall taking the defense to her on the drive, and the rotation left Holtzclaw open. Amy Duran coming into the game. That's the mark. You got to have a shooter's touch. You catch it, you shoot it. They are happy.
Foul was committed by Brosimova, which is her 3rd. There was an overrule. At first glance, the official had said that, in fact, the foul was on Jolly. It was the reverse. (74-73) Tennessee.
Tennessee has gone back to man-to-man defense.
Tough pass to make, and then on the overplay, Holtzclaw whistled with her 4th foul. So Shea Rolfe has 4 for Connecticut. Holtzclaw now with 4 for Tennessee. So they will be under the microscope the rest of the way.
And it's tough for teams and players that like to be so physical.
Brosimova is playing with 3 fouls. You know, she had some difficulty with the language barrier a year ago. That has since been taken care of, playing with much more confidence. It's just so hard to believe that the composure, I know she's played at the international level, she's barely 18, and yet when she plays on the international team, she's playing with 30-year-olds. You know all too well what that's like.
I think it's a good situation for her to learn from veteran players. And last year's experience, UConn loses to North Carolina State in the Elite 8, and she realized at the end of the year she was playing with a broken foot of Brosimova.
Catchings. Tamika Catchings now with 13. Tennessee by 2. Under 4 minutes to play. Swin Cash. Oh, can she swing it? One of the quickest drop steps and crossover steps I've seen in the paint in some time.
Well, Husky fans for the next 4 years are going to be delighted by the energy of the Femme Five, because they are the real deal. You hear about freshmen and how good they are, and you wonder, can I take it to the next level?
Clement. Rainbow won't go. Out of bounds. It will be controlled to Tennessee. With 3:27 remaining and our game tied for the 7th time in the last 4 minutes.
Hey, need some inspiration?
Get tough!
And order your copy of A Cinderella Season, the documentary that follows the Lady Vols and shows what it takes to become a champion.
We win it. We win it. Oh, yeah. I can't hardly talk. I am so mad.
Don't make Pat mad. 800-829-VOLS for your copy of A Cinderella Season. All sales benefit the University of Tennessee Scholarship Fund.
Now you can watch all the games of the first 3 rounds in their entirety as DirecTV supplements CBS's coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship.
Our game reset, no fouls to give. We are tied. The possession arrow to UConn. Couple of full timeouts, no 20s. Tim Brando along with Nancy Lieberman-Klein. It's been everything we expected, although we've been surprised by some aspects of this game. But when these two get together, it's no surprise that they're tied late.
No, well, they know each other so well. They know it's a big-time atmosphere. There's really no pressure on either team. They just have to play their game. Foul trouble, it's the obvious. You have to play good, solid defense, but not make the silly foul.
Jeter using the glass. Very quick scoop to the hoop by the tree. Teresa Jeter.
Tree Jeter comes up with so many big baskets for Tennessee, and you don't look at her on this team as a big scorer.
Largest lead of this game was 7 for Tennessee. UConn has led 3 times in the second half. And they turned it over there. Shea Ralph lost it out of bounds. Asia Jones comes in for Paige Sauer.
That gives UConn a quicker, more aggressive team. Paige Sauer is more of the power game, and she can give you the outside shot.
Teresa Jeter, a real catalyst in the second half for Tennessee, particularly with Holtzclaw ailing through much of this game. She's been more of a go-to player down low. 7 points, all big points late in this game. Oh, and Catchings cans 1, rattling it home for 3. She has 16, and it's 81-76, 5 unanswered for the Lady Vols.
Well, the Lady Vols have Holtzclaw on the bench. You would think with 2:32, she would be in the game pretty soon.
The lead is 5 for number 2, but trying harder.
This CBS Sports Women's Basketball Classic is presented by American Honda. A winning lineup of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans.
Number 2 Tennessee with an 81-76 lead over the number 1 UConn Huskies. Tonight on CBS, he's got to be the world's most dishonest television reporter. At least he was until he got caught and went to jail. Meet him tonight on 60 Minutes. Then, can an angel pitch an uplifting show to a cynical network television executive? Tonight on Touched by an Angel, followed by the People's Choice Awards, an all-star celebration hosted by Ray Romano tonight on CBS. Very big possession for UConn.
Well, they have to get a basket out of this possession, work the defense, work the zone a little bit, and take a good shot.
Brosimova drives and uses the glass. Tough shot. She turned down the 3, and then the quick foul ensued as Jeter brought it down. Brosimova picks up her 4th. And you see the home court streak at 54. That's what's at stake today for UConn at home, the all-time record belonging to Tennessee. They're trying to return the favor when UConn ended that at 69.
I'm sure that was part of the motivation that Pat Summitt in the locker room said, hey, ladies, they came in our building, they beat us, they stopped our streak. A little bit of, we'll get you back at your place.
UConn, if this score holds up and Tennessee wins it, they will look back on missed opportunities. Sometimes you work so hard defensively, as Gino Oriana's team did today against Pat Summitt's, and then you forget to play offense and you rush it, and I think that's happened to them today.
Absolutely, but the difference for Tennessee, as we talked about, they've got the 3 players who can take you off the dribble. UConn's got a lot of balance, but you got to give them the ball in the right place.
Kirsten Walters operating at the point. Ralph is with her. There's Asia Jones at the top. Too strong. Abrosimova can't reel it in. And a quick timeout. 1:56 remaining after the full timeout. Volunteers lead, equaling its largest.
My son wouldn't drink his milk, so I worried about his nutrition. But then I tried Ovaltine, and now he loves his milk. Ovaltine.
Okay? All right, see, you take it out. Jackson, you go long and let you come back. Okay? Host ball, you step up and get the ball. All right? You can't run the baseline.
Pat Summitt well aware that the pressure's coming. You always look for that long ball with the baseball pass against pressure.
Well, you have to at least stretch the defense. That I'm thinking might throw it long, but then they'll have either Catchings coming back to the ball, and I would send, as she is Holtzclaw, to the ball, put it in her hands because she is a good foul shooter and she's got a good handle.
See, the Huskies certainly have not given up. Some of the better defenders on the floor, but remember, Shea Ralph is playing with 4 fouls, and they need her desperately on the floor. Could not get the baseball pass. There's the pressure. Ralph could not commit the foul against that pass. Abrosimova did. She has 5. Count it. And a foul. Well, it took a while to break it, but once they did, I think they may have thrown in the exclamation point.
Well, for UConn, they probably should have fouled early because they knew it took so long. And then when Randall got one-on-one, she is so good at putting the ball out in front of her, extending, and having the defense come through her back.
Shea Ralph, when she went for that loose ball, though, recognized that she had 4. She really couldn't defend Jolly on that pass the way she would have liked.
Well, she would have certainly been a lot more tenacious going after the ball, but you're right, she then decided to play more containment.
The early foul difficulty to Ralph perhaps played a bigger role in that man's rotation early in the game. And remember, they were held to 36, lowest output so far this year, averaging over 100 per game. Here's the crowd ovation for Abrosimova. Only 11 points. Boy, they carved her average almost in half, making it most difficult on her, averaging just under 18 a game. Randall knocks down a key free throw. 86-76, 21 in the game for her.
If you're Tennessee, you don't want to foul. You want to play containment out of your zone and force the outside shot, but don't give a look for the 3.
Duran, not since the 4:35 mark. They've gone over 3 minutes, UConn, without making a basket of any kind. Game was tied at 76, and the Lady Vols have pitched a shutout since.
Got plenty of time if you're Tennessee. Just set the ball out, make UConn come after you.
It's pretty obvious in this sequence that Oriana has thrown up the white flag, not coming out to foul. 88-76. And again, Swin Cash, who's played well today. Look at that run. In the last 2.5, 2 minutes and 20 seconds to be exact. 12-0 this run.
And it's really been the Meeks who have dominated the game for Tennessee. They have just had a tremendous Holtzclaw gets 25. Randall has 21. Catchings has 18. That's what they're supposed to do. They came with the goods.
And in certainly Holtzclaw's case, not playing at 100% and making some uncharacteristic turnovers that were unforced. A learning process, the learning curve for Abrosimova, a younger star, and for this UConn team, although it's #1 and unbeaten coming in, it's a very, very young basketball team.
Well, this is a great learning experience, as you said. This is January. Just think how good UConn is going to be in March when they're in a situation like this.
And this win for Tennessee would even the series between the two teams at 4. Tennessee actually trailed in this series 3-4 in the 7 games played.
Well, they lost the first 3 games, and that is something Pat Summit doesn't like to do. Matter of fact, one of her assistants even came and watched Gino Auriemma's practice on how he ran the triangle offense.
Randall has 23. Finally, Kirsten Walters ends that drought that lasted almost 4 minutes. 3 minutes and 56 seconds or more since that basket for Connecticut. And Randall continues to add to her tilt board. 25 for her, equaling Shamiqua Holtzclaw. Well, partner, I think we've seen the elite programs, and this Tennessee team is still #1 and with a bullet.
Well, Tennessee is #1. Whatever happened in the Purdue game, they have straightened out their offense. They've gotten their defensive intensity back, and they are the team to beat in this season.
A disappointed crowd, but certainly women's college basketball is in great shape, in large part because of these two storied programs anchored by Pat Summitt and Gino Auriemma. It's a final. #2, Tennessee wins 92-81. So for Nancy Lieberman-Klein, this is Tim Brando saying so long from Gamble Pavilion. Our final score, the Lady Vols, 92 over the #1 Huskies, 81. For Nancy and for our entire crew, Tim Brando again saying so long. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.
He's got to be the world's most dishonest TV reporter. At least he was until he got caught and went to jail. Meet him tonight on In Touch with East Tennessee. This is Volunteer News.
After 1.5
Snackwells, we like to